It's the hunt down now of this Season 3 here with Creator Series. And so with 4 rounds remaining in the championship, you start making the turn for home and understanding what do you need to do to put your championship season on top. But in a multi-class setting, this is going to feel at home in certain respects. It's Sebring week. We're here at Sebring, and this is your precursor to the iRacing Sebring 12 hours, which will be coming along on Saturday. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me is the ever-dependable John Harris for today's action. And John, Sebring is the circuit that pretty much over the last 20 years has cemented itself as an absolute staple of the month of March.
Yeah, one of those tracks that was literally born from an airfield, and it's become one of those that everyone wants to win. I know I say that quite a lot because there's so many iconic tracks that we go to, but in America, this is the one I think that everybody targets, apart from Indianapolis, obviously, for other reasons. But the asphalt, then the concrete, makes it such a tricky challenge, and especially in multi-class, it's chaos, confusion before we do the real thing as well.
Yeah, it's what we say is RTB, respect the bumps, is the goal for today. Now, let's talk a little bit about calendar, because we've got a lot that's gone through over the course of this season, and there is still a lot to do. So we've still got the big Talladega Oval Week coming along next week. They'll be at Miami for round 9, which is very tight and technical. You've got the Enduro, which will be coming up at Long Beach, and then Monza Historic to round out the season. So as far as it goes, you've got very different circuits to bring home the championship right now, John.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you've built an advantage right now, you're kind of sitting pretty at the top. But it must be said that the advantage isn't really there for anybody at the moment. It could change in one race, quite literally. So it's one of those things, actually, looking at the calendar, where you go, you've got to really keep it on the track. And right now, those tracks are not looking favourable to that. Very high speed, very high commitment. So all it takes is someone moving offline and you're already in trouble.
Yeah, so today it's about maybe seizing an opportunity. Just like at Daytona Road, you've got a bit more of an open feel of how you're able to go and get this all to play out into favor. Let's go talk championship now, because we are into that phase where everyone, I think, is going to be trying to line up and eye up exactly where they want to be in this championship effort. And while it is worth talking about the fact how close it is up at the top of the standings, Rescacoso and Ancephalosis then on top on 195 championship points, a 10-point lead over Brendan Hyperstar and Chesnoid. And then you've got Paul Noodlesim on 160 points. So they are in the mix then with 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th and co. So there's a lot to deal with. They can see it up on your screen. A very close-fought championship. And it goes to show when you put one car in each category out there of GT3 and Dallara IR18, or IndyCar as it were, you sat down and saying, well, it's the most consistent teams that will get the points.
Yeah, quite literally, Aidan Pole being absent means that PoleNoodle.sim goes down to P3 and kind of out of the running for the moment. As I've said, it can change, but it's kind of a 2-horse race at the front. But with points being scored routinely in the 30-plus points, I mean, there is every reason to think that even down to P10, let's say, you can still work your way up into the top of the standings. So it's one of those things where you really have to be careful, and I think we're going to see some gutsy moves today just to put the pressure on other people sometimes.
Yep, and there is no much more pressure than here with Tom Knight. They call him TK. He's here with us right now. Tom, how are you finding the opportunity to get to grips with the unsafety car? Because my hearing of it is that it's the Cadillac VRS GT3. GTP. I'll correct myself on that. And so you wish it would be a GT3, but ultimately it's a GTP. That is a nightmare when you can't put any power down on it.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. Excuse me. I got the car about 10 minutes ago. I've never driven Sebring, and I'm currently doing laps backwards. So that kind of sums up how my experience is going at the moment. But hey, the unsafety car was never designed to be something that was intentional and or safe. We're here to cause a little bit of carnage and mix things up a little bit.
How does the aerodynamic balance feel driving in reverse? Is it going as designed?
You know what? It's fantastic. I'm holding up 2 of the community entries in the GR86s. We've got a little bit of procession going, but driving through the rearview mirror is not ideal.
It's not. We've actually just noted that Timo's been spun across the nose there as you're trying to get things done backwards. Now, you're on the pit limiter at the moment as we take a look at you. So
Yes.
The role of the unsafety car, of course, your job is to make sure that the field is neutralized, but your job is also to not be concerned with anything that's going on in the race.
That is very true. Just trying to hold everything up and make it somewhat sensible. The car doesn't make fun noises when you bounce off the limiter in reverse. That's what I found. So that's what I was kind of holding the pit limiter on for, to save my ears for the time being.
I get the impression I'm in that scene from Cars where he's just driving backwards and like winking at everybody behind. Are you doing that to the community
They call him
entries right
Meta.
now?
We're trying to hold it somewhat steady. No, there we go.
Reverse drift, I love that. I haven't seen that before. You see everything in Creator Series, even stuff never attempted.
It's just good fun.
It is really good fun. There's a lot of slide. There's a lot that goes through. Now, in terms of you and the team, you've got, I believe, Scotty Designs is going to be helping you out along the way. So there's 2 unsafety cars to play with. How critical is it to have 2 in the team and a constant presence out there on the circuit, making sure everyone's got that ability to know that the rules of the game are always going to be enforced?
I think it's something that we've noticed a lot more. Or, I say we. It's these guys who've done the major majority of the season. This is my first time in Season 3 stepping in. But they've noticed a lot more. It's harder with the multi-class to just have the one unsafety car and the one race control. So it's very beneficial because we have the idea being one person watching the IndyCars, one person watching the GT3 class, and then kind of communicating between yourselves when incidents happen. Because if we're watching on with most crashes according to iRacing systems, unsurprisingly, it focuses on the GR86s. I couldn't tell you why.
So in terms of incidents, what are we likely to see around this track? It's quite a different venue to others. Does that change the problems of multiclass?
I think it's a great track that has a founding in multi-class racing. So you've got the element where it is a wide open circuit. There's lots of overtaking opportunities for the faster traffic coming through. So it eliminates what we saw at Okayama, which is a very narrow circuit, not many opportunities to go wide. But on the flip side, it's a very uneven surface. You've got cars that are very has been rammed by a GT3 car. The Indy cars are very susceptible to damage from the slightest tap. So the walls and the concrete and the uncertainness of the ground below them is really what's going to be a contributing factor, I reckon.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be having a wonderful time out there over the course of this racing going forward. We'll let you have a chance to get on. And also, I'm sure that you're going to be enjoying Scouting for Girls at the weekend, which will be an absolutely wonderful run's worth of action in terms of the music scene. A lovely band from the early 2010s, Scouting for Girls is. They had some very, very good songs out there. John, as they are looking to get themselves ready, now you're going to be starting to say, right, now you're hoping this is going to be for you. It's an hour and 45 minutes on the clock, but they've got 35 laps to go and conduct. So how are you looking at this going, I'm breaking this down into 12, 12, and 11?
Well, I'm looking, first of all, at the screen, and I swear I saw a Formula 1 car driving around there just a second ago. I think it's one of those things, really. You've just got to... I mean, we saw it in the real Sebring 12 hours. You've just got to take the race as it comes to you. You will very rarely win the race early on. So you've just got to not make a mistake around here. There's lots of grass, as you can see. The runoff areas are quite bumpy as well. So I think really it's not a thing you can plan for. There's a lot of opportunities to get overtaken or to overtake, depending on your circumstance. So you just have to see what happens. I've just noticed as well, TK managed to recreate the Nissan LMP1 car, front-wheel drive, by driving backwards. I don't know how he comes up with these things, but he's a genius.
I thought he very nearly created the Garage 57 car, which had a very, very pointy front nose and almost looked like a three-wheeler for a moment. So he's okay in that regard. We are going to jump in. We're going to get Ryan L83 in to have a chat with us. Now, Ryan, as it is complete and total carnage out there at the moment in practice, as drivers will look to try and get themselves ready. You are the fastest driver in warm-up on a 141.3. So how's the confidence and getting yourself going on cold tyres, as we just saw you there coming out the pits?
Hello, Jake and John and everyone watching. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised I'm E1 because I've only literally just turned the sim on today, and I've only done 8 laps. So I'm surprised. I'm expecting a few people to be up there with me. So yeah, I mean the tyres at the minute, the coldest is 33 degrees on the front tyres, so it's going to be interesting on strategy for tyres at the start of the race because the normal races we've done this season, it's been the opposite. You want to avoid maybe the softer tyre, you go for the primaries to start off with the high track temps, but with the situation with the time of day at the minute, I think it's like really early in the morning here. So tyre temp's going to be critical and track temperature as well. So you may see the vast majority of us Indy cars on maybe the alternates to start off with as the day goes on and the track temp goes up and it will swing towards the primary tyre later on.
Well, that answers your question, Jake, from earlier on. I want to ask the different question of strategy. You've got a lot of boxes behind you, so does that mean you're going to be short fueling and doing more pit stops?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of IndyCar fuel behind me that I'm just gonna, so you may see a lot of pit stops from me today, but no.
Will they be with or without front wing? That's the question.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen so far, traffic's going to be a big issue for us in IndyCar. I think the only real places of overtaking is going to be where I am now at the moment. But then after turn 1, it's literally narrow practically from the vast majority of the circuit. So, especially if we get GT3 and the Toyotas as well at the same place, it's going to be absolute carnage. And I'm looking forward to it as always.
Yeah, you certainly are looking forward to it, and we see it time and again how often that you're up there and looking to put the pressure on at the front of this field. Now, we're getting a wonderful example of this traffic there as we try and get by Ches, and Ches gets a little nibble of you there on the side. Are you a little bit worried that you got that, those open wheels that's going to make life even tougher for you as people drive off the exit and maybe aren't as aware of how wide a car width is?
Yeah, I also think as well the speed of the IndyCar as well, that we brake a lot later than a lot of these cars, especially here, for example, I'm braking a lot early, but normally I brake around the 2 home mark, so I think a lot of people may get scared of us as we maybe go for the moves to try and break away from the traffic that's going to ensue later on. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And yeah, we're just giving Ches a little love tap just to say a good evening to him.
I think he'll need definitely encouragements to not run into you at some point. We've seen in the Creator Series it can be quite feisty between people. Is there anyone you are not necessarily targeting, but is there anyone you want to beat today?
Looking at the pace at the minute, Unju's a surprise in P2 at the minute. Brendan, I'm not expecting him to be a second off me. I would probably say he's going to be up there. Probably the one to keep an eye on, I think, is Lithium Fox is probably one to keep an eye on. He was P1 at the start of the session when I joined and looks pretty consistent in lap time. So probably Lithium Fox is one to keep an eye on for tonight, I think.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck with it and hope that it's not the rivals behind in trouble. Nice wreck from Ryan L83. Aerotech is now here with us, and Aerotech, you would have been a little bit downtrodden with what happened to you yesterday in terms of your subathon, but today you are looking to try and channel that into the opportunity to go and get victory here today.
Okay, I don't know about victory. That's a strong word. I'm just out here to have some fun. This is a fun car, fun combo. The car is all over the place all the time, especially on the alts. It slides around pretty bad. So I missed the last couple of weeks, and I saw this on the calendar too. And especially with I'm on a completely new PC today too, and I wanted to make sure I had a couple races in me. And I missed my friends. Gosh forbid.
So coming back to the Creator Series then, what's your objectives now with the new computer? We're going for P1, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've kind of come to the realization that pace-wise, I have to put a lot of work in to keep up with the front of this field in IndyCar. Even Ryan, Punju are fast. Brendan's obviously a former IndyCar Pro Series driver, so like I'm not going to keep up with them. So unless I put the work in, and obviously Jake kind of touched on it, I've been a little indisposed for the last 6 months. So I'm just going to try and have some fun, dice through the traffic, and maybe have box with somebody towards the midfield, but mostly just here to enjoy iRacing at above 60 FPS for once. It's cool.
Very quickly, just before we let you go, I know we're about 35 seconds away from the start of racing. Do you think that this is going to be about who survives rather than who's got pace?
Absolutely. Very hard to pass traffic here, especially in the IndyCar. I guarantee you someone's going to make a move they can't really stick, and then we're going to have a huge pileup.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck for Racing Action. Aerotech there with us, giving a really good showcase of what it's all about here with Racing Action. But we are now getting ourselves set as practice is just about to come to a conclusion. For those who are having a little bit of a chat about why sometimes drivers are struggling, there are people who are practicing out there, and everyone does try and practice to the best of their ability. But they do also know that for racing, it's about content, and sometimes in practice, they want to create some content out there, okay? It's not the way that you do in real-world racing sometimes, but I think that's what makes sim racing really, really great in terms of the action that we see. So grid is going to stack up then as follows. It will be the 27 of Stolstis who will be on the pole position and will be looking to try and replace then, as far as things go, Super Noodle Bagel, I think, for the rest of the season. Just getting word on that. Love 46 will be alongside then on company then going forward. It will then be Punju in third with Aerotech alongside going from fourth position, as it will be fifth for Alex Gillen. I didn't see him out there at all in the racing, obviously trying to keep himself very quiet. Hayden Gullis, that is a very experienced, and we know each other very well, third row of the grid. You've then got Ryan L83, who's got 83 problems, but a corner isn't one of them. Well, there's many of them here, as Brendan Hyperstar will line up in eighth. Your top 10 will round out with Reska Kyoso and Lithium Fox, and all VTuber fifth row of this grid. And then, of course, you go over to the GT3 field, where the Stag is then in position, ready to jump in as substitute. You've then got Joshimas, who's alongside then in the McLareners. You've then got Chesnoy Gaming, and it's Des TV there in the family-friendly Fun Friends Forever team, along with Punju. You've got 15th, Josh's Corner, as Ancephalosis will line up in 16th on the grid. Storm Molina and Sparks will go from 17th and 18th places on this one, as Josh Merrin will work his way from the back. Christoph then, as this is the community entries out there, is 20th position and leads those, with Ben Serda and Gosh Dam there in third position in the lovely yellow and black livery. You've then got Timo and Fabian Ming there in what is 23rd and 24th, the Dutchman and the Swissman there alongside Soy and Mia Rose there in 25th and 26th. Mia, a lightning fast driver, 7,000 iRating, and as part of Creator Series, a one-time daughter of banter as well to go along with it. Reese is going to be there in 27th. The M-Gal in the Rice Shower car out there at this moment in time is going to look to get that GR86 moving on up. Then you've got Chucky George there in the 29th position, and two unsafety cars are there and getting themselves set and ready for action today, as they will take their progress around this wonderful track out here at this moment. They will get a full pace lap, not behind a safety car, John, but a safety truck.
Yeah, one of the particularities, I guess, of this course is the choice of safety car vehicle, or pace vehicle, as you might call it. Just, one of those things to slow them down. I guess it will make it extra tricky at the start because the tires can't be up to temperature. I guess for us as spectators, it's going to be brilliant to see. Who's your money on, Jake, in terms of best result or most unexpected result today?
Josh's Corner getting the last bit of hydration in before he sets himself up and looks to get and go, and now is going to get a little vape in as well by the looks of things then, as he tries to get himself ready for racing. Well, I turn around, John, and say whatever gets you in the mood.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good answer to me. I think It's one of those courses really where you, especially if you haven't done much practice, and it seems like a lot of people have been changing setups lately, you know, spring cleaning as they say. We may see some unexpected things happen. You do see Alex Gillen there on the grid. He has made it, as they say. So again, when you put Alex Gillen and Hayden Gullis together in a car class, you never know exactly what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. As I do love to see racing cars around this track. It's just got such an old school vibe to it, and yet we're a modern machinery ready to absolutely break lap records here.
There's TV, the dual camera that he's got. So you got the main camera there, and a look. Oh, actually, it's a tri-camera because you can see he's got his steering inputs and pedal inputs. Everyone loves a good pedal input out there. It makes all the difference in terms of knowing what a driver is doing, how they're looking to try and push through the corners. That's going to be great. And just touching there on Alex Gillen after the season opener of the Formula One Championship that was going through, John. Of course, we've got to be very careful here in the commentary box, or he'll be asking to replace us.
Well, I mean, I don't tend to concern myself with that. Alex and I go back at least a decade at this point, and the amount of crosswords I've had with him, another one won't make much of a difference, I'll be quite honest, Jake.
Yeah, so there will be a lot to try and get ready, especially here through the furthest part away on this section, running through the Fangio S's and over towards Cunningham Corner, turn number 9. Out there on track. So they're going to have to be very careful through this section because you're looking at this place. Everyone thinks they can make a move at Cunningham Corner. They're not expecting how tough Collier Corner is straight afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just some very medium speed turns that roll into each other, but if you get a little bit of a snap oversteer or even understeer, really, it just compounds into the next one. And so you arrive with such speed at Cunningham Corner, you just want to chuck it in, get a little bit of rotation, but on the sort of dusty tarmac, if you just make one wrong move, you're going around. So especially if you're in a pack, you don't want to be doing any of that. That's major damage, and hopefully you can pit for repairs. But I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, talking about strategy, if some people go light fueled expecting an early unsafety car. I think it may be quite common around here. You know, you always see an early incident normally in the racing. So maybe somebody's smart to try that one. We'll have to wait and see.
There is Solstice representing the third of the VTuber trio that are out there here today, and she'll be looking for a very strong start off the front. Confidence is going to be key, and part of what you see from these fields is that we stack them back to forward. We create this accordion effect here in the Creator Series. It creates early drama in races like these as they will make their way along the Ullman Straight over to the corner of 1004 lines, and line number 1, for those who know, is armbar out there because Sunset Bend is the toughest corner, John, to get correct on the track.
Yeah, 1004 lines through that one, and none of them correct whenever I take it, so I always end up in the barrier. Hopefully they don't do exactly the same. I expect, you know, it's going to be some late charges here, and especially for the GT cars, maybe starting mid-bend might not be the best of things.
How aggressive do you want to be off this start? Who's going to want to be there at the front? Who's going to manage the push to pass on what is a very bumpy part of the circuit? Who manages the transfer between asphalt and concrete the best? Solstice and Love 46 will have the control at the front of this field. The green flag drops and we are underway for racing here at Sebring. There was a threat of 4 wide. There is in the middle as they'll now run over to turn number 1. Solstice with a lovely start round the outside. Punju already up into second position. Gets a lovely launch, sliding and spins in the GT3 field. Carnage in the GT3 field. They're all around except one. There's cars upside down. Stormalina lead, but a massive drama, and I think we'll need an unsafety car because we've got one upside down now. Look at them. They're like lemmings off a cliff.
Oh my days, nobody wanted to lift. Everybody ran into the... So Chesnoid went wide in turn 1, and I think that created a concertina effect in the GT3. Ancephalosis is basically missing half a car. That is Chesnoid crabbing through the turn 2. And basically the GR86 is saying, I'm not going to lift at all. I'm just going to go for it. And I think there's an unsafety car called, obviously.
Well, there had to be an unsafety car for it. Josh's corner was upside down on the guardrails. Then coming out of turn number 1, Josh's corner making 1 corner there, John. That's not what he wanted.
No, not ideal. I mean, it's just so unfortunate sometimes. Just that you get involved in other people's incidents. Sometimes it's not even your fault, but I really do think maybe they were being a bit too aggressive on that race start. You know, it's always got that sort of disaster scenario about it. It's a corner, turn one especially, is a corner that tightens on the apex. So let's have a look. GT3. So Chesnoid cuts across the nose of everyone. Des TV just goes for the defense. Ancephalosis. Oh, they both go wide. And I tell you what, that was, who was that? The Porsche got spun round. I'm not exactly sure, but my days, going for literally a backflip in a GT3 car, not ideal.
No, it isn't, and that's what happens when you find yourself in an absolute mess. There's the look down the inside. So there's the, perfect endo there from Chesnoid, but then trying to put the power on the exit, there's the problem. Straight across the circuit, and then everyone's in trouble. Just about able to avoid that going on by, but that could have been absolutely disastrous, and then some. There's another look at Chesnoid Gaming, then getting all sorts of sideways, then out on the grass. Everyone's trying to go through, and suddenly you never expect to be on the grass and ran over at the same time. You're desperately unlucky if you're Chesnoid.
I can just imagine being Chesnoid. Oh, I made it out of turn one alive. No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't make it to turn two. Just unfortunate, just going over the grass and you think everything's fine. I think Chesnoid just tried to turn into aggressively, try and cut the nose off of everyone else's car. And let's have a look. This is Stag's viewpoint here, just watching everybody. And then from behind, I'm going to expect that he's about to get punted. No, it's Ancephalosis that will get punted there. But he avoided all of that contact somehow. But yeah, I think Josh behind Chesnoid tried to, not panic brake, but tried to take evasive maneuvering. And that's what spun him round effectively.
Yeah, a lot to try and uncover there. A lot of pitters taking after the opening lap. So Lithium Fox, Love 46, Brendan Hyperstar, they've all come in for service. Aerotech's taken service, as has Hayden Gullis. So they've all decided to get service sorted out there under the unsafety car, and that will be to switch tyres potentially out there. We've got a number of drivers out there on the black tyres out there on these cars, which are primaries for the Indycar Dallara IR18s, and the red stickers, of course, the alternates, which are slightly slower. That's the way you can differentiate between the different classes as they get themselves set out there at point. And first time today that we get to see really in, well, I wouldn't call it anger, but I would call it caution out there. The unsafety car in the Cadillac VSR GTP out then at the front of this field, currently being piloted by TK at this moment in time in the 999 car, because the the British sign for if you want to call an ambulance is 999, and maybe TK is going to find himself with a little bit of trouble then, and might need some assistance coming off of the final corners here in Sim.
I'm still disappointed he's not driving backwards in this one. But for once, it's the unsafety car doing safety things. And let's have a look at the GR86 perspective. That is already a punt, so it's happened. Fabian Ming just getting balked on the inside. And then, oh, wow, just Ancephalosis out of nowhere. So effectively what happened is the first GR86 has sort of split the pack, and then behind, you have just no visibility to anticipate what's happening. You're not expecting a GT3 to be stopped on the apex.
You definitely aren't, and so you get a look here. There'll be a lot of smoke in front. You're trying to work out where it's going to be, and it's the fact Ancephalosis has come across middle of the road there and hasn't been able to keep it off the circuit. It's a desperately unsafe rejoin back onto track in front of the GR86s, and that gives a huge perspective of just how tough this race is going to be for everybody out then on this run. There's still cars down there in the pits. It was Timo who took the late hit out there as they went through. So as far as they go here, Creator Series living up to the hype here, John. They blasted a full corner.
So when I jinxed it and said early safety car, I didn't mean lap one. I think that's
turn one.
Thrown at, well, turn one, effect. Turn 1.5. They did make it halfway down the straight. I'll give them that at least.
Well, actually, that's turn two, John, halfway down the straight.
Okay, he's got a good point. Yeah, I can't beat him on that one. Do you really call that a turn? It's flat out. Anyway, moving on.
It's on the map. It said turn two. It's a turn.
You're quite right. Okay, yes, I'll give you that one. They did make it to turn two, but it does mean that a lot of strategies will have to be reworked now, as we were saying before. And also, I think the IndyCars would have taken the chance to get off of, if they started on the compounded tyre they don't want to use, they take an opportunity to get off of that compound now. and then they can run a much better race pace effectively. So it could benefit some people if they play it smart.
So when you say it in that regard then, John, you talk about drivers getting off their tyres, switching to a different compound in the Indy cars up there at the top in the IR18s. So you turn around and say, actually, I can now run whatever I want to the end of the race.
Yeah, effectively, yes. That's a great way of explaining it. And sometimes it just forces you to compromise the strategy because you have to use both compounds. But I think some people anticipated that starting on the softer compound, which is set to be a little bit overheaty and just difficult to use. Now they can do whatever they want and fuel up whatever they want as well without having to think too much about the tyres. Around here, especially for Indy cars, the tyres take such a caning, such a punishment that it can be a huge benefit. So maybe the runners at the front that didn't pit might start to regret that in a few laps' time.
Sorry, I want to go to Timo out there at the moment because he came out of the pit, or actually he came by everybody taking a wave around, but he was on the same lap as everyone else, so he had to jam on the brakes, and now he's going to have this very awkward thing, John, of I've got to let everyone by me again.
Yeah, the weight of dishonor, as they say. Oh, no. You don't want to be in that situation, unless you're Hayden Gullis and you don't really care. But you don't want to really be in that situation where you're just waiting and you know you've done something wrong. The unsafety car as well, just weaving, saying, naughty, naughty boy, don't do it again.
Well, it was a case of everyone just saying in chat, I think Christoph then was going, oh no, please, let's not have another house robot situation where you put yourself into a position where they're going to be very naughty about it. But long wait for Timo. They'll probably have to go to the back of the pack then behind even the likes of Reese, who's just about ready to join the back of the train. So a chance then to get back to speed and understand that everyone is going to be into position. And probably here, John, at the end of this lap, they are going to be looking at racing once again. And I tell you what, this unsafety car, there's so much concentration from TK right now, it's killed his camera.
Oh, well, the house robot allegations he'll never beat. I guess hopefully he won't smash into any cars, but it's hard work driving the unsafety car. He's hurtling round at basically the limit of this car. Look at it. He's just having to weave the tires to, keep them in the operating temperature. I mean, it must be so tricky. He should start driving backwards again, 100%. I'll ask you the question, seeing as we've got the time, Jake. Were you Team Sir Killalot or Team Sergeant Bash back in the days of Robot Wars?
Oh, I was Team Shunt all the way.
Fair enough. Okay, that's a very valid opinion. As we'll see, the unsafety car round what is the last couple of turns before the Ullman Straight and then Sunset Bends to go back into the pits, I think, on this lap. And that means that we are once again racing, and you can see the flashing lights. I think we're about to see some shenanigans once again.
Oh, he's got to be careful. He's desperately trying to warm these tyres up to get through Sunset Bend. And, oh, no, has gone the wrong way. He's looking like he's going to recreate the inside. Oh, my goodness. He's upside down. He's going to get back onto the circuit here. He's going to clear the circuit and get clear. Oh, perfect. That's perfectly parked. Down there behind the barriers. That is excellent work there from TK in the unsafety car to get him safe. That is an 11 out of 7.
You couldn't even do that if you tried again. That is a 1 in a million opportunity to get that right, and he did it first try. Absolute legend. What a flying fortress right there on the unsafety car. And we do get green flag racing once again. The Indy cars through the last bend and onto the main straight, as it does look like some overtakes happening already. We got Reska Kyoso up the inside of, I think that's Alex Gillen with wing damage on the front there. Brendan Hyperstar around the outside as well, so a lot of stuff happening. Maybe some tires not up to temperature.
Well, for Alex Gillen, he's in an active aero position of I don't have any on my front left tyre at this stage. So very tough for Gillen to go and work with. He's picked that up under caution period. Good start from Storm Molina in the Aston Martin. Then getting the clearance she has out there. Love 46 already on the push to pass. You can tell by the arrows that are there on the timer. Through the hotel hairpin, on the tower on the left-hand side. Oh, spin, big one, Solstice.
Yeah, just lost it, I think, just bouncing over the curb, and that's a real bad recovery. You have to select reverse, then get it in gear, hopefully rejoin and not in front of any GT3s, but what a long way to wait. So just over the gravel there, oh, it's on the gravel, yeah, so just spinning the wheels up and then the bounce when they get back on track. and the car just lets loose, and there's not much you can do about it. So much horsepower in that car. There's just no way of recovering it, really, even if you come off throttle. So, yeah, unfortunate, but they're still in the race, only 6 seconds down on the back of the pack, so not too bad. Meanwhile, we have Sparks being absolutely hounded right now by Josh Merrin, and at the front... What a move, yeah, up the inside, just the switchback. And oh, a little bit of a punt, though. I thought the Audi was going to come back across onto the track, but no quarter given there by Josh Merrin. Somehow, Sparks has defended this and might get the defence. Yes, slams the door shut, but Josh Merrin late braking.
Oh, and off in front. There goes Josh Immers, who's going to go a mile off. He's actually off of the concrete. Over there, and Merrin gets turned around for his troubles too. Des is going to spark on through, and Sparks also off the road. So two of the quickest drivers in the GT3 field in trouble. And now look at what it's done. The Stag and Cephalosis, they're 3 wide with its Des, who yields at Sunset Bend. Nobody does. Through the cones goes Des, and the Stag will not concern himself with 3 wide, but will concern himself with second place.
Whoa, that had my heart rate at an easy 150 through there. I did not expect them to get through that turn clean, but the Stag actually just saw the door, just went straight through it, and I think this Des TV is just stuck behind Encephalosis at the moment. Great defense by Encephalosis, although a little bit of a tap, and oh, the two can make contact. Is Des on the grass? Can he recover it? No, into the barrier. How unfortunate. Just, I think Encephalosis is not leaving enough room there, and it was just the case of where could you go in that Lamborghini. The answer is nowhere. So contact to Mary in the GT3 category. Meanwhile, Reska Kyoso really racy at the moment. P3 trying to get a move onto the grass wall. Ryan saw that one coming, was entitled to defend, but quite aggressive anyway. And Punjo at the front is probably just saying, can you guys be a little bit less feisty behind me? I kind of want to pull away with this one, but I also don't want to put my popcorn away.
Well, here's the push to pass from Ryan L83. He's going to get the run down the inside. Reska's going to try and follow here, and will do. Gets to the inside. Reska looking for the inside. Over the bumps. It's going to be about drive off the exit here. Reska now is going to start using the push to pass and is going to look for any chance to get by Ryan L83, who's got it covered at the moment into turn 1. Punju very much having to check up on the brakes, and then Lithium Fox into play. 1, 2, 3, and 4 all together at the front. And lest we forget the community out there, where Ben Serda and Mia Rose are 1 and 2 with Chucky George in 3rd position. So it is everywhere you go, there is something going on in the categories, and Sebring is a great circuit for all classes.
Yeah, it is indeed. Mia Rose really putting the pressure on Ben Serda right now. You can see just the aggressiveness of Termin, the confidence as Sparks arrives on the scene as well. I just want to point out something has happened to Alex Gillen as well. 19 seconds down, maybe some contact that we didn't see, but they are behind Solstice as well as RG Bargy Estimo just giving a little bit of a door shunt there. The other one's DM Gal just trying to make a pass. Can they do it around the outside? Surely not in the GR86s. But Osai looking to profit from that as well. Wow, up the inside. Yeah, DM Gal looking to go for it, but I think Timo's just going to be able to slam the door shut.
Oh, no!
God, lost it.
Yeah, you get a massive influx of grip there with the traction control that's on the car. It would have spiked going over the curb there. A big loss there for Timo, and now the lapping process begins, and this is where it's going to get very dangerous. A massive 3-wide moment for Ryan L83 to jump on through. Closing speed, they're doing 190 kilometers an hour compared to 290 kilometers an hour. Imagine that, 100 kilometers an hour difference on the straight here at Sebring. That is panic stations. You just see a blur in the mirrors.
For context, that's like essentially, yeah, oh my days, this is ridiculous. Wow, Punjo up the inside there saying, I'm doing it. All Miro's around the outside, and that's Lithium Fox that... all the way around the outside, and I think on the curb and onto the gravel as well, as we still have battles. That's Hayden Gullis defending at the moment, and wow, that was a great defense, to be fair, with Aerotech just trying to find a way past, but maybe the tire's not up to temperature at the moment, as there's just action all over the place. Just wanted to point out, that is like standing still on the motorway and having a car pass you. That is the closing speed difference. That is absolutely insane, and as you said, it would be a blur in your mirror, as they say.
I can confirm that for the likes of Alex Gillen, he had to come in get the damage repair sorted. So that was why he's dropped all the time, because he's coming, he's got a front wing. Over to Sunset Bend now, where you've got Stormalina versus the Stag out there at the front of this field, and the Stag now really looking to hunt down. The Stag's been a little bit, John, of a sorry figure over these races, never quite getting the luck that maybe the Stag feels like it deserves, but at the moment, the Stag on the hunt for the race lead, and so this is the best I think I've ever seen the Stag do in a race.
Yeah, we told the Stag that they had to remain anonymous. I think they took that a little bit too literally, and they applied it to the race performance as well. It's good news that we clarified it, and they're actually turning up the wick, as they say, as Stormalina is under so much pressure at the moment. We didn't really see what happens between Joshimas and Stormalina, whether there was any contact. I think Joshima's lost it by himself, but we'll have to see if... I don't think we'll be able to get a replay now at this point, but Stormalina, no signs of damage anyway, and so carrying on at the moment. They've created quite a good gap, yeah, 2.6 seconds to Encephalosis, who is still keeping Josh's corner at bay in P4. So this is just a two-horse race for the lead at the moment. It looks like they're in clear air, which will help them, and I say that, they're approaching some GR86s, I think.
Yeah, so they're going to have to try and find a way through, and understanding the difference between GT3 and GR86 is the Toyota GR86 out there is a lot slower to the power, is much more transferable as a car, rear-wheel drive in terms of how it sits itself about, so you're just trying to be as predictable as possible going through. We're not going to get there this lap, but maybe next lap we might see the fringes then start to be found. They're doing 2:24s at the moment, 2-minute lap time then from Stormalina on the last lap through, so 24 seconds the difference. It's going to be close whether they reach the back of that field this lap or next.
You want to reach them on the straights, really, but just to say on the GR86s is that they are as close as you can get, really, to a production car. Maybe the Miata is even more a production vehicle than GR86s. There are small modifications to it, obviously the rear wing being the most visible, but there are suspension changes as... Well, that was wide there by Ben Serda, just trying to pick up the pace. Chucky George moving up into P2 then, the overtake happening off screen, but Miro's just comfortable out front at the moment. And so far for GR86s, apart from that first lap shunt, has actually been relatively clean. And so I'm expecting to see them punted off the road, sadly, because it either ends in two ways. Contact between them or contact with them involving other classes. This, I think, was the overtake. Let's have a look. So Chucky George just hounding, really, Ben Serda, just pushing him round the corner there. And as the IndyCars arrive round the outside, it's just an overtake with the overspeed. Miros just gives, unintentionally, the slipstream as well, which allows them to get cleanly through.
Massive accident then for him through turn one, and that is a big issue. A wiggle off of turn one into the barriers. Is going to have to take a tow and a fast repair. Look at that, massive snap, bang, oh, horrible hit.
And now I want to point something out here. This could be to do with the new computer that he has. So when you move from a low FPS, say around 60 FPS or lower, right, to a high refresh rate computer, something that's more performing, let's say, it does change the way the feedback works through the wheel and how you react to things. And I think what's happened there is he's reacted too much and steered too much in the opposite direction to counter steer until he's gone straight into the barrier.
Josh Merrin in trouble, and that's at Tower Corner. Lithium Fox was off the road and effectively has sideswiped there and said, look, I'm going to swipe left, and ultimately it's a date.
Not the one that you want, though, because it's a little bit toxic in that situation right there. But yeah, hopefully not too much damage, but we'll wait and see if we can get a replay of that for you on screen. Stormalina has been overtaken by the Stag now. You can see there... That was nearly a disaster on the exit, right, nearly clouting into the back of the Stag. That would have been a funny debrief, as they say. Reska Kyoso still not finding a way past. Now, it will be crucial to see how they use the push to pass here, so let us have a look. I think this will be Lithium Fox, just trying to get past Encephalosis there. And I think this is just, I think this is still live footage, actually. So we've got the camera from the pit lane exit. Thankfully, nobody in the pits at the moment. So Josh Merrin here with Des TV defending. Des TV to the inside. Gets tagged, I think, by Des TV. And then Lithium Fox will appear somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Lithium Fox approaches. And that's in the barrier, flashing off the lights. And oh, what a bad tyre bundle placement there as well.
Not much you can do. Lithium Fox pushed off the road, tried to gather it back, but it is bumpy on the inside over to the tower turn, and ultimately you're going to have to call for a little bit of help when you get into that. A few takers down then into the pits. A penalty then for Joshimas there, I think, for speeding in the lane, as we focus on the lead battle here in your Dallara IR18 category. It is Ryan L83 versus Reska Kyoso. They're both going to get the clearance here on the brakes, then past the two of Mia Rose and Chucky George right now. And I think we're going to have to give a penalty out there to Chucky George. Shara Esports in our creator series, that's a bit of a look around at it, John, and going, you're a professional esports team driver in our creator series.
At least 200 kilogram ballast right now. That's what they need. But to be fair, they're not getting past Mia Rosa at the moment. So looks like it's a 2-horse race. Banter, they're getting dropped a little bit. So, but they're still in the hunt, really, and they're not bump drafting, so you can still keep the pace. What will be interesting to see is how they play the strategy, because, you know, when you've got that many hours behind the wheel, you have some tricks up your sleeve, as they say. It looks like Ryan is pulling away just a tiny little bit there, 0.5 of a second. So not too much, but that extra car length just messes with the aerodynamic balance, messes with your head a little bit, as you can see Miro's going just through turn 1 there, nearly dipping the wheel onto the gravel. But that means that Chucky George got a better exit there, just using a little bit more of the road, and that was very dangerous. Fabian Ming on DM Gal as well, just no room for an overtake there. And Cephalosis, good to see them back in the fight as well. So I think that was Joshimas as well up there in the mix.
Yeah, and they can see running the pole noodle colours out there is Fabian Ming, so we know how he represents. Aidan Pole putting a lot of time and effort at the moment into the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America, so that's why he's probably not here today, because he's trying to get as much practice as he can. He spun out actually at round 2 at Miami. Good clearance there from Brendan Hyperstar, trying to work back through. Brendan Hyperstar down in 8th place right now. I never thought I would hear that as a sentence.
He's really struggling, and I noticed on the restart he dropped about 3 seconds in, I think it was a lap and a half really, to the leaders. And oh, that's somebody that has disappeared, unfortunately. That might have been why Brendan
had
so
another
disconnect.
moment. Yeah, so he's got to be very careful about that then, and that might be the reason why we're seeing it be so troublesome out there at the moment for Brendan Hyperstar. Ryan L83, though, still with a gap and feeling comfortable with it. 42.1 and a 42.3 for the pair at 0.4 of a second. The margin was across the line. I do also want to know the Stag leads by over 3 seconds.
See, we only had to tell them once, or them, I should say. No idea what they represent themselves as. I don't even think they know in their heads, to be fair. The Stag, very cryptic on all subjects, as they should be. But not on pace today, let's say. They are absolutely showing the field how it's done. And the reins have been taken off, for a figure of speech, and we're seeing exactly what the Stag can do. Storm Molina, I think, just keeping it consistent, realising this is a great chance to score a lot of points.
Yeah, it was a mistake at turn 5 on lap 8 of the race. Just got a big tank slapper on, did Storm Molina, over pushing her Aston Martin, and so that allowed then for the Stag to jump up to the race lead in the GT3 Mustang. A look then at Aerotech, back out on circuit again after the tow and the damage, a lap down at this point. There goes Alex Gillen by and jumps on through, and so now you start looking at what Aerotech can do over the course of this race. Basically, very much needs an unsafety car to come out to get the wave around back to be on the leading lap.
Look, it's Sebring. I'm sure it'll happen, as we got Hayden Gullis smiling. Hang on a minute, a smile from Hayden. What's he cooking up? What kind of strategy are we going to see? Every single time I see a smile from him, I know there's going to be something going on in the background, just hounding at the moment, and nearly dipping some wheels into the grass. That's Love 46 ahead. So these two trying to catch Lithium Fox, who's quite a way up the road. And I think we've got some people in the pits there. So Ryan and Reska Kyoso in the pit lane. This could be crucial on strategy. Who's going to short fuel?
Well, they're both in together, so this is about, will the tyres last? They're absolutely equal as they hit their boxes. It's down to fuel, it's down to tyres out there at this moment in time. Reska going on to the... and actually gets the jump. Brilliant stuff. Reska's on the primaries. Ryan L83 is out there on the alternate. So that's a change. Oh, and Ryan has a massive moment coming out of the pits. Then a huge slide. He's able to save it, but critically, all that time he was trying to gain back, gone.
Yeah, just, I think a little... Wow, okay, yeah. Great recovery, though, just jamming on the brakes, I think, to get it square again. Great just reaction skills, I guess. But, yeah, look at that time lost, about 10 car lengths there. And I think that was just a case of being frustrated of losing it in the pits, and then you just want to get on the power, try and get the overtake done, and put them under pressure. And it turns out they're under pressure from Punju more than the other way around. But... I don't know. I mean, will we see someone drive off into the distance? It didn't look like Reska Kyoso had the pace to really move away or get the overtake done, I mean. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, big lock up there. And that is still, I think, on the cold tires. Just no grip being had right there.
Punju looking for the inside here at Tower Turn. And on to the greatest name straight in all of motorsport, the Flying Fortress.
You've got, it's so iconic, just such a formidable plane of World War II and daunting as well, just in that it was always ready to battle, a bit like this track. You've always got to be ready for the unknown, all poised to react, and so I do love it when they put historical names on. Straight to talk about historical, Punju going for a move to the inside. Surely not on Sunset Bend. This is going to compromise both of them. Ryan going all the way around the outside, but no grip found out there. He's going to try and do the switch back. It's not really going to happen. Punju's got great traction out there, but Ryan just punching the throttle. You could see it just getting on the power. Nobody using the push to pass there, so it's going to be straight horsepower down to turn 1. Punju just managing to find the overspeed and defends P2, what will be P2. Lithium Fox yet to pick.
Yep, so there's still pit stops that are needed in the cycle, working on trying to find as much lane and angle as needed through 5. Big gurney bend here of turn 6, and now needing the drive to the hotel hairpin at 7. Ryan L83's got the angle here, is now thinking inside, late to the outside on the brakes to try and find that move. Just trying to leave it as late as possible. Keep guessing here for Punju at this stage, but look at the drive from Ryan. He'll get it through Fangio, and maybe now he'll get the run the long way around Cunningham Corner. There's some GR86s in front that they'll have to get by, which the Soy, Reese, and the likes of Timo and Christoph, and so Ryan L83 gets the clearance, and now it's going to have to start lunging down the inside, forces one out of the way, nowhere for Reese to go, and Punju, he's turned, Punju's in the wall!
Oh no, I think just maybe a miscalculation there. Just thought that the GR86 was going to get out of the way, but I mean, they're like right there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how to interpret that one. I think
I know, and it's the same way that Gareth Allen, our producer, tried to interpret it, which is, what are you doing, Punji?
Yeah, that was a great way of description. But yeah, it's one of those things, I think, that you're just trying to catch. You've seen someone do a crazy move in front of you. You want to do the same as them to keep in their slipstream. And that's a case of where it just doesn't work out. It's just not worth it. And I think literally just misjudging maybe the width of the car. These Indy cars are quite big things. As you see, Ryan there is just absolutely sending it everywhere at the moment, just trying to make up that time. I think he's quite livid that he lost that position to Reska Kyoso, who's right there. He's gained the solid 5 car lengths back already. And look at that, Reska Kyoso.
Look at side by side. This is the battle for the lead, and it's going to be contact between. Oh my goodness, what clearance, both in the grass to go and get by. That is Josh Merrin and Ryan L83 getting by Chucky George and Mia Rose. Chucky George to the race lead then of the GR86 field, but Ryan, oh my goodness, that was heart in mouth stuff. We're not even halfway.
He's doing it like it's the last lap of the 24-hour race around here. My days, just sending it on the grass. I cannot believe what I just saw. So this is the battle. So Mia Rose is, and Chucky George are entitled both to take the racing line and get alongside. And Rescoso, I think, is just thinking, well, I've got this lead. I don't want to really chuck it up the inside. There was a gap there, but do you go for it? What happened to Punju can happen. I mean, this is great racing. They're leaving each other the gap or the space and the gap to just maneuver. Chicky George just off the road, and Mia, I think, has to take avoiding action. That sends Josh Merrin onto the grass, and running out of nowhere just goes, I'm flooring it, keeping one wheel on the track and just hoping that
Oh, big off. Big crash out there, and it's going to be huge for Lithium Fox, who is damaged trying to do his best Ryan L83 impersonation, and it hasn't worked.
That's 1 out of 3 successful moves. Oh, that's all on the grass. It's not even, it's the rejoin again, just the bump on the